Jai Shri Krishna to all of you. Welcome to Path to Anandam, Gita series. Freedom from pains and miseries to happy, healthy, peaceful life. And it's based on Srimad Bhagavad Gita and 108 mantras to awaken your soul. Pranam to Guruji, Hariharji Maharaj, for giving us his blessings and guiding to the path to righteous action, righteous living, encouraging to walk on the path to Ananda. Practice Bhagavad Gita's teachings in daily life. And also help others to come along on this blissful journey. So this world becomes a better place to live for all of us. Not just for us, but for our children, generation to come, and forever. So thank you very much, Guruji, coming in my life, guiding me, helping me on every step of my life, and blessing every morning. So today's session is learn to choose your righteous path. Again, it's based on Bhagavad Gita's verses, but this is a basic question many people ask. There are many spiritual paths. Which path should I choose? And today's session will answer that question. So today the series 15, Gita verses, chapter 3, verse number 3, 5, and 8. So how many paths, righteous paths, spiritual paths? And why and how Lord Krishna explains about Karma Yoga, how he motivates us to stay on the Karma Yoga. What are my practices? He guides us what practices we should be doing. And then, of course, our sankalpa. End of this session, I know my path. So we all learn which is my path. And tip of the day, and of course, meditation and question and answers. So as our very first sankalpa was that I am not Dhritarashtra, I am Arjuna. And our prayers to Lord Krishna, asking for guidance in the difficult time of our life, or even in the morning, first thing in the morning, ask the guidance from Lord Krishna, but very humbly, with the bhava of surrender. So as we are all Arjuna, let's all pray to ask his advice and be on our side. Karpanye dosho pahat svabhava paschami tvam dharma samud cheta यच्छेस्यानि निश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्ते अहं शादिमां त्वं प्रपन्नम् शिष्यस्ते शादिमां त्वं प्रपन्नम्. My heart is overpowered by the weakness of pity. I have lost all of my composure, and my mind is confused about my duty, my dharma. I am requesting you to tell me what is definitely good for me. I am your disciple. I surrender to you. Please instruct me. So, by learning Gita at the end, we can also say, like Arjuna, I do as you advise. Karishye vachanam tav. So let's all be on this blissful journey for self-purification, self-transformation, and self-realization. Uplift ourselves to highest consciousness of Satchit Ananda. So why Bhagavad Gita? Especially for this subject. Here Arjuna and his divine company, Lord Krishna, his teacher, he is his teacher because he's a student. So we are all a student. Lord Krishna is not just God. In day-to-day life, he is our teacher. He guides us on every step. And that's why Hariharji Maharaj said, Gita is a step-by-step spiritual instruction manual to operate our life righteously. It teaches us how to choose our righteous path, not just the path, but righteous path, and convert every karma, every action into dharma, righteous action, and experience ultimate anandam, eternal happiness, peace, while living in this world, and not just living in this world, but beyond this world. We have come from series 1, where our sankalpa was, I am not Dhritarashtra, to series 14, that I am in peace, Anandam. So in chapter 1, Arjuna's dilemma and his unwillingness to fight the war. And Lord Krishna started teaching him the Gita Gyan. And in chapter 2, the contents of the entire Gita have been summarized in this chapter 2, where Lord Krishna guides him about killing others, because this body is temporary, soul is everlasting. So continue with your duty because you are a warrior. He guides him, teaches him, gives him the wisdom of theory, practices, importance of karma yoga, equanimity, Sankhya yoga, because chapter 2 is called Sankhya yoga, Gyan, which comes to equanimity, and ultimately gives him the path to liberation, moksha. But he also guides him and tells him, be careful, because there are barriers to our this path, happiness, peace, and those barriers are, which is called 5 + 2 enemies: desires, anger, greed, attachment, ego, hatred, envy, and commitment, and then committing the sin. In other words, Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ankar, jealousy, resentments. And once we are overtaken by these, then we do the wrongdoings, and wrongdoings means called sin. We can call sin, we can call misdeeds, whatever. But then he also tells him that these barriers limits you, because this whole universe is made with Trinity, Triguni Maya. So you are made with those 5 elements, consist of these gunas. So he guides him that you must go beyond that. Nistray guno bhav Arjuna. And further, how to remove your barriers and attain eternal happiness, peace, anandam. And through fulfilling your prescribed duty, righteous action, your dharma, karma yoga, jnana yoga, bhakti yoga. The purpose of our life, live happily and peacefully in the material world and realize your true nature, because you are Satchit Ananda. So today's series 15, we are going to learn how to know your righteous path. Not just to choose your righteous path, but first we have to know our righteous path. Why Karma Yoga, which we have already spoken, but now we will learn into detail about it. It's just like, we go to high school, then we go to further degree, then we do the PhD, which we know the every detail about that subject. So we are going to learn like doing the PhD now of the Karma Yoga, going into more detail that what is art of work. So he's going to unfold, remove many other layers of doubts here, like onion, of not just Lord Krishna, not just Arjuna's, but our doubts, removing all these doubts about Karma Yoga through Jnana Yoga, with Jnana Yoga. But here, the Karma Yoga is the dominating. These are the 2 paths he explains. And righteous path, whether it's a Jnana Yoga or Karma Yoga, and how they relate to each other. So 2 paths, Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And he says, Loko asmin vidya nishtha pura prokta mayanad jnana yogen sankhya yoga nam karma yogen yogi nam. Oh Arjuna, there are 2-fold paths of spiritual discipline in this world. One is the path of self-knowledge, Jnana Yoga, for the contemplative people. You have to pay attention to it, this one. And the other is the path of selfless service, Karma Yoga, for the active people and analytical mind. So, Karma Yoga, action done skillfully with knowledge, wisdom. Here, see, with knowledge. So here comes a Jnana Yoga. It's not a Jnana Yoga, you cannot leave it alone. Love and devotion. Here, Bhakti Yoga. And to the best of one's ability, without any expectation in return, means Tyaga, renunciation of the fruit of action for the benefit of others. Universal wellness. Other is called Karma Yoga, art of yoga. Example, Mahatma Gandhi, Arjuna, and many others. So this is basically a selfless service with Tyaga. Tyaga of fruit of action. On the other hand, Jnana Yoga, this is based on the self-knowledge which we learn, which comes within self-experience and realized knowledge of the absolute God, self, and example Buddha. He realized that knowledge. And the practices in this one is dominated by Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, for example, of course, Niyama, etc., but Pratyahara. But here, mainly the yoga, pranayam, meditation, and samadhi. So here, after the conversation, during the conversation, because Arjuna basically did not want to fight and he was giving all the excuses. And he wanted to run to Himalayas to attain self-realization, to experience God's presence in his life. And Lord Krishna says, you are a warrior. Your responsibility is to protect the society. So you must engage in the war. And Arjuna continues to argue. And then he says, I want to go to Himalayas. And there is a very beautiful saying by Dinkarji. It says, काम छोड़ ध्यान में लगेगा तो काल तुझे आके ढसेगा. In other words, if it is a time to do the action, then take the action. If it is a time to do the meditation, do meditation. But do not get confused. That's where we all get confused. Whether I should do a meditation or I should get engaged in the selfless service or seva. And that's where Lord Krishna is kind of enlightening us. But he also says that for the different personalities, in the verse he says, different personalities. So who can do the selfless service or who can do the meditation? So he emphasized that one should work according to the own svabhava, where he says in the gunas, according to our own aptitude, according to our gunas. So if the person is extroverted, if his guna is more extroverted, in other words, he's more outgoing, more fun-loving, friendly, talkative, party-loving, etc., that person is more made for selfless service. On the other hand, if somebody is more reserved, and those people are more withdrawn, and they like to have a small social circle, they enjoy loneliness, not a loneliness, but they enjoy alone time. They could concentrate better, because the extroverted people have a hard time to sit and do the meditation, where the people who are already calm, they have an easy time to do the meditation. So, but it is not just a coin, right side of the coin or the left side of the coin. There is something in between. It's called ambiverta, which means they could be extroverted or introverted. Those introverted people could be also extroverted, depending on the situation. So they adjust according to circumstances. And here it shows that the people, they have both legs. One leg is an extroverted, another leg is an introverted, and because they're in the middle. And we all have experience, and I can share my experience. I used to be very extroverted, all the time party loving, going out, and more networking and more. But I also had, with God's grace, other quality, which is introverted. I could work alone for hours and hours and hours, focus on my job. I don't have to go anywhere. So I could do both. And now over a period of time, it is also known as period of time, we change our personalities, and then it becomes more introverted or more like doing work in silently. We could sit more for meditation. And we all have experiences. You have that experience. We all have those experiences. So now we have learned to adjust. So depending on the situation, we could do both. But it is not just one can do on extra, just a seva or do the meditation, and that's the only path. But Lord Krishna says, why karma yoga is better? Why? Because he explains In whole Bhagavad Gita, if you look at, there are the 3 or 4 major yogas: Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Jnana Yoga. And as I said, Jnana Yoga is more on the Ashtanga Yoga. But Karma Yoga is, why Karma Yoga? Because Karma Yoga is so easy to do. We can all just go and start doing seva. If the physically we are fitted, then we prefer to go out and do seva, meet other people, because it becomes more like a socializing as well. But the advantage of Karma Yoga is that we develop the wisdom by itself, learn to deal with other people, we develop more patience, we develop more tolerance, dealing with other people, and we are very active. Physically, we are more fitted. At the same time, Jnana Yoga, you have to sit calmly, you have to do a lot of meditation, etc. And Bhakti Yoga is the link between both of them. So all these 3 yogas lead to the same goal, liberation. And they are practiced together. They're complementary to each other, because where the Karma Yoga requires, I call it, more hands, work with hands. Bhakti Yoga more heart related. Dil se bhakti hoti hai. And then head is more Sankhya Yoga, where it is a more, we have to control, we have to work on our mind to remove all the negative thoughts, or we change our attitude. So this is a self-transformation, which is not as easy. But with working with Karma Yoga, with our hands, with heart, that's a lot easier. But they're all complementary to each other. They all need to be done together. Here, the Karma Yoga is more prominent. We are going to talk, it's more dominating in this subject. So why and how to do Karma Yoga? These 2 verses help us to understand that gunas and action. Lord Krishna says, you are bound to act. Nahi kinchit षणमपि जातु तिष्ठत्य कर्म कृत कार्यते यशवश्य कर्म सर्व प्रकृति जे गुणे. Certainly one cannot remain actionless, even for a moment. Everyone is helplessly driven to action by his nature, born with qualities with gunas. We are all made with Triguni Maya, gunas, tamsic, rajasic, sattvic, and they will make us to work. That's what Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, you are warrior, your nature is good, your guna is warrior. Even if you say that you won't fight, you will fight, because that's your guna. Your guna will make you. Sometimes, for example, we can say, I'm not sleepy, we can pretend, but the tamasic nature comes at that time and we have to sleep. That's a part of our guna, a part of our nature, part of the body requirement. At the same time, sometimes we become egoistic and we have to do the work, which is the nature of the rajasic nature. And then the sattvic nature. We have to do, but we have to do the action, but with love and compassion. That's the sattvic part of it. In other words, tamasic, I will call it tamasic, which is more like a laziness, ignorance. And rajasic is more passionate. I want to do it. Sometimes we forget why we want to do it, but we just get so passionate. And then sattvic, which gives us the balance, calms us down. So, but all these 3 are important to certain ratio in our body. Sometimes if we sleep too much, then we disturb our body. If we do too much rajasic nature, too much passionate, and overtake the sattvicness. So there is a ratio, which we'll talk later on. But here, basically, Lord Krishna tells him that body is foundation. Karma Yoga is the foundation of life, foundation of body. The body is temporary, but without action, we cannot live. but we have to do it in a righteous way. That's why he tells him, go beyond your limitations, beyond your gunas, because you must get involved with the action, because without action, he again tells him, reminds him that niyatam kuru karmatvam, karma jayaso hi karmana, sharira yatri chatena prasiddha ev karmana, that you must perform your prescribed duty, because working is certainly better than not working. Inaction. One cannot even maintain the physical body without work. So he reminds him that nobody can remain inactive. Why? Because we are made with energy. Energy is always in vibration. Every atom, electron, proton in our body, in our nature, everything is moving. Nothing is stable. So you are going to move. So that, like for example, sometimes we have a volunteer work, because due to energy, we walk, we do all kind of actions. We eat, which we can see those actions, we can feel it, but there are certain auto actions in our body. They're on the autopilot. For example, we breathe automatically. Our mind is thinking all the time. Our eyes blink automatically. Our digestive system, our body is, all that internal organs are functioning automatically. So they're on autopilot. So certain things will be happening automatically. So we cannot remain in action. But here Lord Krishna is not just talking about those autopilot actions, he's talking about the actions, the laziness. We should not become the lazy, because laziness is the biggest enemy. First of all, our mind gets very dull if we do not act, we do not work. Physically, like they say, use it or lose it. If we don't use our body, we are going to lose our muscles, we are going to, our blood pressure, our depression, all those things come. So laziness is the enemy of the person. We should always get engaged into, if we do not want to work other, we should have some hobby. We should do some selfless action. So our nitya karma, the one which we do it, which are compulsory for us, which is called nitya karma, which is eating, sleeping, bathing, we must perform these actions at least to maintain our healthy body. I know some people, I met somebody, several people, those people, I mean, they bathe like only once a year. For 6 months, they don't. And they may do other activities, spiritual activities, but bathing is not a part of their life. And I don't know how they maintain it, but to me, that is very, very difficult to survive. Me, I have to take a bath first thing in the morning. And I think all of us, we do that. And so it's very, very important to do our nitya karma. We have to eat properly. We have to sleep, have a proper enough sleep in our life to maintain our healthy body. At the same time, how we should live, we must perform our prescribed duty. We must do our action. And that's where the confusion comes. What is my prescribed duty? Our prescribed duty we must perform to purify our mind and elevate spirituality. Arjuna, he forgot his prescribed duty and he was about to not to get into war until Lord Krishna motivated him. In other words, he was misusing his strength, he was misusing his talent, and that's where because his aptitude was warrior. Similarly, whatever our aptitude is, we should work accordingly. And we should do those actions because our body, our mind, our intellect require that. And we can keep our body, mind, and intellect healthy And preparation, this is a preparation to connect us to our supreme powers, the soul. This is a path to go to the Satchit Ananda, to Param Dham. So question is, what is my duty? We have many, many duties. We have many, many dharmas. As a youth, adult, parent, sibling, students, teachers, professionals, employer, employee, spouse, wife, husband. We have many, many duties for our children, for our husband, for our profession. So what is truly my duty? What is my dharma? What is my swadharma? The bottom line is, as a human being, we also have the dharma toward the society as well. So we all have to go into it. What the bottom line is, what do I like the most? What does my body is built upon? So the question comes, am I extroverted? Am I introverted? Where am I? What does dominate my body? But whatever we do in our life, do it with love and compassion, whether we are taking care of our children or taking our siblings or other friends, we must put love and compassion. Here it calls student, teachers, universities. It does not mean student, we are the student of whole life. Now we are before we were a student in the colleges, universities, and we were taught to respect our gurus, our teachers. And here now that we are a student of Bhagavad Gita. So we should follow the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, practice it, practice, practice, practice. Practice so then we become the mentor for others. Other people, just by looking at us, from our behavior, then they should say, these are the Gita Pathi. Not just talking Gita's verses and explaining. Practice, practice, practice. Practice is the key. That's why Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that you do as you like. I have already given you all the wisdom. And Lord Arjuna says, Karishye vachanam tau. I will follow your advice by now taking the full responsibility of myself and getting engaged in war. So he realized he was a warrior. Similarly, we have to do the same. Just here, I mentioned before that Sankhya Yoga is based on the wisdom, but these 8 limbs of Raj Yoga, we call it, or 8 limbs of Patanjali's yoga, where Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, meditation, Samadhi, all these steps, one step by step, we get there so we can experience ultimate union. But yoga is 99% practice and 1% theory. Similarly, we have to start with karma yoga practice before we qualified for Sankhya yoga. Because many people go to ashrams and they expect that immediately they can sit and do meditation, but usually their guru asks them to first do their karma, seva. Like very good example, one of the disciples went to the ashram and he said, Guruji, I want to experience God. I want to see God. I want to experience that true Satchit Ananda within myself. So just show me the path. And Guruji says, okay, here is the work. You go do the gardening, clean the garbage, take the garbage out, clean it. And then he did it for a whole month. He went back to Guruji and he says, Guruji, I came here for meditation and you are asking me to do all these things. And he was kind of getting very irritated. And he was speaking to Guruji in irritation, and Guruji can feel it, that how he's speaking with irritation, he's upset. So then Guruji says, go back and do the same thing. And every month he would go back. And he will see some of the people are sitting for meditation, but he's not asked to do meditation. He's not learning any guidance for the meditation, not giving any teachings. And he had to do whole thing for whole year. And by doing seva, its system came calm down. He realized that how he's calming down with seva, and that seva bhav with love and compassion start coming to him. And then he went back to Guruji. Not only he went back to Guruji, one day Guruji called him and he says, now sit down. I have to teach you meditation, because he qualified. So in order for us to calm our system and qualify for meditation, there are processes. It's not that you just sit and do it. Otherwise, all the disturbances come in the mind. So Karma Yoga is the sabse pehle seedhi hai. This is the one step which is called Yama and Niyama. Then the body asanas. So it's very, very important to do the Karma Yoga. So question comes to us. Again, what is my prescribed duty? What is my dharma? Just make a list. Sometimes it's very, very hard because we have so many responsibilities and we don't know what are my duties are. So whatever, the bottom line here is, whatever responsibilities we are given, we must do it with love and compassion. So action is be Arjuna. Do your best and let go. Just surrender to God. God will take care of us. So sarva dharman paritajye mamekam sharanam praj. Aham tvam sarv papebhyo mokshashyami ma shucha. Abundant all attachment to duties, whatever you are doing, and totally surrender to me. I will liberate you from all sins. Do not worry. So Satya Sai Baba's, this phrase is so dear to me. Love all, serve all. Help ever, hurt never. This is a true Karma Yoga. Do without attachment, but with the bhava, with the intention, not with the ego, but with love and compassion. So our sankalpa is, I fulfill my assigned duty in order to experience happy, healthy, and peaceful life, Satchit Ananda. So I follow my righteous path. And again, as I always remind, and this is the beautiful verse of chapter 6, 24-25. Sankalp Prabhavan. We should do all the tyagas, but sankalp, whatever sankalp we take, it's a step by step. So experience Ananda is not a activity. It's a kate kachwe ki chal. It is such a slow process. Sometimes we move one step forward and two steps backward, but do not be discouraged. Continue on this path. Eventually, little by little, we will experience more and more. So thank you very much for being a part of. I follow my righteous path, starting with Karma Yoga, because everything in life is karma. I am breathing, I'm talking to you, that is a karma. But I have to speak to you with love and compassion from my heart, without expecting whether you understood or you did not, whether you thought that whether this talk was helpful or not, doesn't matter. I'm doing my job here to best of my ability. I know many of you are more knowledgeable than me in Gita, but My focus is more on the practice, and experience happy, healthy, and peaceful life and Satchit Ananda. So thank you very much for joining.